Hello friends. Today, we continue surviving in my hardcore world, and this is the second part of my 100 Days in a Village series. It all started with me harvesting crops, replanting them, and collecting wool. I wanted to improve the village, so I immediately went to gather wood. After that, I decided the village lake was too big, so I started filling in a significant portion of it. This took quite a bit of time. Once the lake was covered, I worked on expanding the village fence and began some interior improvements, placing lanterns and planting trees. I also wanted to create a sugarcane farm, which I had been considering since the first episode, but I didn't have any quartz. While enhancing the village, I laid the foundation for the farm so I could finish it later. I had plenty of unused land, so I expanded the pastures for my sheep and cows. Now, I have a lot more wool. I then built houses for archers and shepherds so I wouldn't have to search for them all over the village. However, while building the archers' houses, some of them kept running away, causing extra trouble as I had to push them back inside. Next, I decided to build a watchtower to protect the village from pillager raids. Once it was finished, I initiated a raid. This was my first time attempting a raid in newer versions, and at first, I couldn't figure out why it wasn't starting, with the effect even beginning to fade. But as soon as I descended from the tower, the raid triggered. I rushed back up to shoot the pillagers with my bow, but guess what? The pillagers spawned inside the village.
NANI?
I didn't expect that at all and wasn't prepared. Thankfully, the village had many iron golems, who started fighting off the pillagers, though one villager was killed. At that moment, I realized my watchtower was useless for defense. What a waste of time. Still, it works as a decent decoration.
Huh?
Speaking of failures, I've decided to introduce my Namink fail scale. 1 Namink equals 1 fail. Hopefully, I won't exceed 10 fails, though knowing my skills, there might be 100. During the raid, I was running around trying to kill pillagers, but a new wave started, and I couldn't figure out where they had spawned. I spent a lot of time searching for them but couldn't find them, realizing they had likely spawned in a cave. To save time, I used the replay mod to locate them, but guess what? I forgot to turn on the recording after re-entering the game. That was my first big fail in this video. Not much happened while the recording was off. I just defeated the raiders and repaired my golems. By the way, while fighting the raiders, I nearly had a heart attack because I almost fell to my death due to clumsy movements. Also, during the raid, I accidentally killed my own cat, who ran in front of my arrow while I was shooting a pillager. After the raid, I wanted to finish my sugarcane farm, so I built a nether portal and ventured into the nether. Luckily, there was a nether fortress near my portal where I farmed blaze rods. I gathered plenty to avoid multiple trips and repaired my tools along the way. Returning to the overworld, I planted netherwart and created a mini quarry for cobblestone in the village. Then, I completed the automatic sugarcane farm, which, while not the most efficient, still produced a lot of sugarcane. Later, I added an automatic wool farm, which required a lot of iron for hoppers, so I headed into a cave. I know I could have made an iron farm, but that wasn't part of this episode's plan. I smelted my resources and built the sheep farm. At some point, I wanted to create a garbage disposal in my house, but when I went there, I found some villagers inside. They had been wandering into my house, and I'd wondered where they had gone. It was convenient having them in one place, so I decided to turn the garbage area into a basement for them to live in, though that's for later. Seeking some variety, I bought a map from the cartographer and went looking for a palace of trials. Unfortunately, I didn't find any extraordinary loot besides a smithing template, and much of my time was spent under bad omen effects. The chamber itself was surprisingly small. Strangely, the silverfish spawner was bugged, and I never found the last silverfish. Next, I decided to locate a woodland mansion. For the first time ever, I took a compass, thinking it would help me navigate cardinal directions. But after a while, it started spinning randomly, and that's when I learned online that compasses lead you to your spawn point. Thankfully, it wasn't far from the village. I continued my journey using coordinates and had to travel over 7,000 blocks south and west. Occasionally, I rode a horse, but some were so slow I ended up running on foot. Luckily, the mansion had smithing templates and extra totems. To save time returning, I traveled back through the Nether, finding 2 bastion remnants along the way. I looted them without much trouble. Except for accidentally shooting a zombified piglin in the second one, which forced me to deal with a horde. Back at the village, I stored my items and created the villager's basement. I also added a lava farm in the basement, but this nearly cost me the entire village. While placing the lava, it came too close to my house, setting it on fire. Luckily, I noticed in time to extinguish it. If I had returned later to find the entire village burned down, I probably would have quit the game. Next, I wanted to name my librarians to make it easier to identify which books they were selling. To buy name tags cheaply, I started another raid. This time, it went smoothly. Afterward, I noticed I had fewer totems than expected, so I searched for more and discovered a hidden stash near the village gate containing an extra totem. Following the raid, I named my librarians, but my anvil broke, so I went mining for iron. In an abandoned mineshaft, I found several poison spider spawners close together. After looting the area, I returned home, named the remaining librarians, and harvested my crops. That concludes the second part of my 100 Days in a Village series. I had a great time surviving in my world, despite doing a lot of repetitive work. In future episodes, I plan to defeat the Ender Dragon and continue developing this world. If you're interested, stay tuned. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who supports my efforts, it truly gives meaning to my life. I hope I can entertain and perhaps even help others. Wishing you all the best, and see you next time.